Shalom, Shalom, Kala Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. This is your brother War making a video to feed the sheep, to edify the lambs. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwat who are going to be watching this video. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Brakatham, Kala Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Right, and for some reason, a lot of Southern Kingdom wants to act like the Northern Kingdom ain't going to slavery or be oppressed by Esau. And apparently these guys just had it good. They're just chilling, and only we've been getting oppressed by Esau. Right, but let's go straight into this, and then I hop out into this article because I just looked at this. I wasn't even looking up for anything in particular, but I just stumbled across the article. And then I went into it, and I'm just like, okay, this is interesting. But a lot of our people, they don't even want to. Our people, everyone just looks at the news. That's how they get the information. They don't go and research. If it's on the news, it's got to be true. That's facts. Forget going into books. Or people don't like to go into books. They don't like to go into research. They don't like to look nothing up. They just want to take what Master says, go off their emotions, and that's it. This is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Right? This is not talking about ancient times. The northern kingdom got taken by the Assyrians, right? And then the southern kingdom got taken by the Babylonians. And then the northern kingdom left and came to the Americas. And the southern kingdom, after the Babylonian captivity, got scooped up by the Persians. And from then, it's been captivity to captivity. Now, here in the Americas is where both nations are being oppressed together. So where is it? Ezra 1. Right? Let's get it. This is Ezra 1 and 1. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Most High by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Most High stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation through all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, now this is the second beast, going into that second beast, right? Cyrus, king of Persia, he had all the kingdoms of the earth, the same way the Babylonians did, and the Grecians and the Romans, right? They had all the kingdoms of his earth, but his kingdom was from all the kingdoms known on the east side of the world. But the northern kingdom wasn't on the east side of the world. Then this is going to even add to further fact to show that. Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Most High of heaven hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth. Okay? And he hath charged to me to build him an house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Who is there among you? Which is in Judah? Who is there among you of all his people? His power be with him. And let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of Yahweh, power of Israel. He is the power which is in Jerusalem. Right? So he said it out of his own mouth. He had all the kingdoms of the earth. No, he really did it because he had all the kingdoms of the nations of the world on the east side, but he didn't have the northern kingdom because they were out. They were chilling on the west. Right? Who is there among you of all his people? He said all his people. Okay, the north, it's 12 tribes equals all the people. Right, verse 4. And whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourneth, let the men of his place help him with silver and with gold and with goods and with beasts, beside the freewill offering for the house of the power that is in Jerusalem. Then rose up the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin and the priests of the Levites, with all them whose spirit the Most High had raised to go up to build the house of the Most High which is in Jerusalem. So he had all the kingdoms of the earth, yet you don't hear Ephraim, Manasseh, Naphtali, Issachar. You don't hear none of them. Why? Because they weren't here. Right? So let's go hop onto that article. Okay, it says Olvera Street is a Los Angeles icon, a thriving Mexican market filled with colorful souvenirs. And this is I read a bit into it, a few paragraphs, but this is also more history for me to learn too. Very educational. Restaurants and remnants of the oldest buildings in Los Angeles, but though the bright tourist destination teems with visitors, few realize it was once the site of a terrifying raid. In 1931, police officers grabbed Mexican Americans in the area, many of them U.S. citizens, and shoved them into waiting vans. Immigration agents blocked exits and arrested around 400 people, who were then deported to Mexico regardless of their citizenship or immigration status. The raid was just one incident in a long history of discrimination against Latino people in the United States. Right, but when people think about discrimination in the Americas, they automatically think so-called black people. Right? Ask any, and it's not even just you Negroes yourselves. It's anybody on the earth, the Chinese, freaking Filipinos, East Indians, Arabs. It's always because Esau promotes in his media that just the Southern Kingdom. Then it's always, everyone just thinks about what he's promoted on the media, right? If you don't go and research, you're not gonna know these things. And how many people are going out and looking into the history of these things? And even in schools, they ain't really teaching you all this. All right. Since the 1840s, anti-Latino prejudice has led to illegal deportations, school segregation, and even lynching. And so not only were Negroes being lynched, Latinos were being lynched. And if Latinos were being lynched, how much more were the Native Indians, who this whole North America belonged to them? How much killing do you have to do to rid that much people off the land? Okay. Lamentation. I keep forgetting that this is not on the iPod. The iPod, I have to press that button over there, and it takes me to the books, the glossary. Is it Lamentations 4:21? Right? No. It's lucky. Let me get it. This video might end up going a bit longer than I hope for. Okay, it's Lamentations 4:18. Right. It says, they hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. That's what George Zimmerman did to Trayvon Martin. They went out of his way to go look for someone to murder that day. Right? And not only was that happening to the Negroes, it was happening to the Latinos too. Right? Being segregated. Right? But the Most High likes it when we're segregated, having to drink out of our own cisterns. Is that Proverbs? Where's the Psalms? Let me just look it up. It's been a while since I even got a precept like that. Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay, I was tripping. Cisterns. Bruh. Oh, come on. There it is. Drink out of thine own cistern and waters out of thine own well. So it was a good thing that we were segregated back then. But like all of our people, we want to follow the way of the Grecians. We want to be closer to them. We want to live among them. Right? So it says often forgotten events. So okay, so let's go back. So illegal deportations, school segregation, and even lynching. Often forgotten events that echo the civil rights violations of African Americans in the Jim Crow era South. So the same things that was happening to the Negroes was happening to Latinos. You're going through the exact same thing. but we were looking at each other as a separate nation of people, as the scripture says. It doesn't say that the Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom are going to look at each other as a or be recognized as the same nation of people. To verse 11. Dude, verse 22, Ezekiel 37 and 22. I will make them one nation in the land upon the mount of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations, right? Neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. That's how we're looked at, as two separate nations of people. But we're not going by skin color. We're going by these curses. And it's by who your father is. Your skin color. People should already know that the skin color don't matter now. But a lot of our people can't look past that. Fools. Right? So let's keep it pushing on this article. It's really interesting. Right? The story of Latino American discrimination largely begins in 1848 when the United States won the Mexican-American War. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which marked the war's end, granted 55% of Mexican territory to the United States. What is this? These men done robbed them 55% of land that doesn't belong to them. Right? Which that land came new citizens. With that land came new citizens. The Mexicans who decided to stay in what was now U.S. territory were granted citizenship. And the county gained a considerable Mexican-American population. So these guys were in their own land, but they had to call themselves Americans. Well, they'd be known as Latin Americans now at that point. As the 19th century wore on, political events in Mexico made immigration to the United States popular. Right, so let me just get that precept real quick too, because this precept goes both ways for the Negroes and Latinos in Deuteronomy 28. Chapter, was it the 49th verse? Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, who shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land. These guys, they came over here into your land and stole it from you through war. Through Esau's blessing, which is the sword. Right, until they'll be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kin, or flock of thy sheep, until they have destroyed thee. Right, and then y'all didn't speak Spanish. Y'all were speaking your what do they call it? It starts with the N, I believe. Right, where they say that the language that Aztecs would be speaking. Well, first they went from Hebrew, right? And let me look it up. Nahuatl. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but it's Nahuatl, right? Which I'll go do some more research into that language. But that language actually, I remember looking into it, how they said it relates to ancient Phoenician language, which goes to show its similarity to Hebrew, right? Which on your tablets and the what's it called, the stones and the things ancestral statues and whatnot had Hebrew written on it, which goes to show that they were speaking Hebrew, right? And they came from the Americas and robbed and scooped us up, stole us, like we did something wrong, you know? Okay, so that precept goes both ways, but it mostly goes upon especially in this context, it goes up on the Northern Kingdom more in this context. This was what as the 19th century wore on, political events in Mexico made immigration to the United States popular. This was welcome news to American employers like the Southern Pacific Railroad, which desperately needed cheap labor to help build new tracks. That's what our people build up the society. Right, we work hard so that they can get rich off of us, right? Which desperately needed cheap labor to help build new tracks. They want that cheap labor, and we're desperate. We're already poor. We just got out of slavery. right? And these guys done got hundreds years of head start, making free products off of us and selling it for money. Of course they're gonna be rich, but we're at the bottom. We didn't make no profit off of our slavery, so of course we're gonna do any job we need to. We have a family and children to feed. This was welcome news to American employers like the Southern Pacific Railroad, which desperately needed cheap labor to help build new tracks. The railroad and other companies flouted existing immigration laws that banned importing contracted labor and sent recruiters into Mexico to convince Mexicans to immigrate. So they didn't. It's not that they liked you, why they wanted you to come to the country. They needed cheap labor. Esau is all about the money. They don't care. They don't care about you. They just want that money. And while you're here in their country, they're gonna hate you. They don't want to really see you up in the country, but for their country to thrive, they need the labor force, which their own people, they don't want to do those jobs. You in Canada, you don't see white people working in these warehouses. You see East Indians and Negroes, Latinos and Asians working in the warehouses. These white people, they ain't trying to work that. They want to go work in their little industries and institutions, right? And in their fast food restaurants. The cheap labor, they ain't trying to do that. They can't even handle it anyways. These guys are always freaking out. Anti-Latino sentiment grew along with immigration. Latinos were barred. See, how is it that you're in your own country and people are mad at you for trying to enter into your own country? These are the details that people never look at. Latinos were barred entry into Anglo establishments and segregated into urban barrios and poor areas. Though Latinos were critical to the U.S. economy and often were American citizens, everything from their language to the color of their skin to their countries of origin could be used as a pretext for discrimination. Anglo-Americans treated them as foreign underclass and perpetuated stereotypes that those who spoke Spanish were lazy, stupid, and undeserving. That's it. Don't they say that about you Negroes? That you're lazy, we're dumb, right? You want to hide something from a Negro, put it in a book, right? Meanwhile, we were the ones who've been working. We're serving slavery, working harder than anyone else, for free, getting whipped, right? Getting discriminated, spat on, all these evil things that people nowadays they're getting paid. First of all, you're getting paid, and a lot of times you don't have to work. You don't have to work. People don't have. They're not whipping you, right? They're not degrading you. All you have to do is do your job. These people are going crazy, right? They can't handle that. In some cases, the prejudice turned fatal. According to historians William D. Kerrigan and Clive Webb, mob violence against Spanish-speaking people was common in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. They estimate that the number of Latinos killed by mobs reached well into the thousands. And this is Esau putting that. This is Esau. Okay? And Esau likes to cook the numbers when it comes to us and make it not seem as bad as it was, but when it comes to him, he'll make it so extremely dramatic. Though definitive documentation only exists 547 cases. 547 cases of mobs coming up against to kill people is a lot, man. Right? The violence began during California's gold rush just after California became part of the United States. At the time, white miners begrudged former Mexicans a share of the wealth yielded by Californian mines, and sometimes enacted vigilante justice. In 1851, for example, a mob of vigilantes accused Josefa Segovia of murdering a white man. After a fake trial, they marched her through the streets and lynched her. A woman, man. Didn't they do that to what's his name? Emmett Till? That's what Esau does. They create a crime, and then they blame you for it just to kill you. They were doing that to you Latinos too. After a fake, they said it themselves. After a fake trial, they marched her through the streets and lynched her. A woman. Over 2,000 men gathered to watch, shouting racial slurs. Others were attacked on suspicion of fraternizing with white women or insulting white people. Okay, even children became the victims of this violence. See, when we just read, they show no mercy to the young, or favor to the children. right? In 1911, a mob of over 100 people hanged a 14-year-old boy, Antonio Gomez, after he was arrested for murder. Rather than let him serve time in jail, townspeople lynched him and dragged his body through the streets of Thorndale, Texas. These and other horrific acts of cruelty lasted until the 1920s. This ain't even about. This is about to be about 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. This is almost 100 years ago, man. Yeah, 30, 40. This is about to be 100 years ago. Not even that long ago. Okay, when the Mexican government began pressuring the United States to stop the violence, but though mob brutality eventually quelled, hatred of Spanish-speaking Americans did not. In the late 1920s, anti-Mexican sentiment spiked as the Great Depression began. And you see this going into the Great Depression. Everyone knows about the Great Depression, right? Where the stock market crashed, right? And when these Edomites get desperate and upset, they take it out on you. They don't take it out on their own people. So that's what's gonna get ready to happen. Their society is about to fail right now on them. The Most High is gonna bring plagues on this place. Their dollar is gonna fail. There's gonna be famine. There's gonna be no food. So they're gonna turn into race wars and race riots, and plagues are gonna come on this place. And who are they gonna attack? You blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. Right? Not just those that fear the Most High. As the stock market tanked and unemployment grew, Anglo-Americans accused Mexicans and other foreigners of stealing American jobs. That's what they're saying right now with Trump. Saying, oh, the Mexicans are stealing our jobs. They're doing jobs that you guys, first of all, they're not stealing your jobs, and they do jobs that you guys don't want to do. Mexican Americans were discouraged and even forbidden from accepting charitable aid. As fears about jobs and the economy spread, the United States forcibly removed up to 2 million people of Mexican descent from the 2 million people removed up to 2 million people of Mexican descent from the country, up to 60% of whom were American citizens. You see how wicked Esau is? Euphemistically referred to as repatriations, the removals were anything but voluntary. Sometimes private employers drove their employees to the border and kicked them out. In other cases, local governments cut off relief, raided gathering places, or offered free train fare to Mexico. Colorado even ordered all of its Mexicans. In reality, anyone who spoke Spanish or seemed to be of Latin descent to leave the state in 1936 and blockaded its southern border to keep people from leaving. Though no formal decree was ever issued by immigration authorities, INS officials deported about 82,000 people during the period. The impact on Spanish-speaking communities was devastating. Some light-skinned Mexican Americans attempted to pass themselves off as Spanish, not Mexican, in an attempt to evade enforcement. People with disabilities and active illnesses were removed from hospitals and dumped. Oh my gosh. The same way they're treating you at the border right now. History is repeating itself, man. But if you don't go into the history, you won't see it. You won't see that the so-called white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. As one victim of repatriation told Raymond Rodriguez, who wrote a history of the period, decade of betrayal, they might as well have sent us to Mars. Others like Rodriguez's father did not wait for raids or enforcement and returned to Mexico independently to escape discrimination and the fear of removal. His wife refused to accompany him, and the family never saw him again. When deportations finally ended around 1936, up to 2 million Mexican Americans had been repatriated. Because many of the repatriation attempts were informal or conducted by private companies, it is nearly impossible to quantify the exact number of people who were deported. Right, because Esau be doing these things in secret most of the time. A lot of the time. Around 1/3 of Los Angeles' Mexican population left the country, as did a third of Texas' Mexican-born population. Though both of the state of California and the city of Los Angeles apologized for repatriation in the early 2000s, the deportations have largely faded from public memory. Right? People don't remember this stuff no more. And they don't care to go look into it. Another little remembered facet of anti-Latino discrimination in the United States is school segregation. Unlike the South, which had explicit laws barring African American children from white schools. Segregation was not enshrined in the laws of the southwestern United States. Nevertheless, Latino people were excluded from restaurants, movie theaters, and schools. I remember reading about this stuff and being told this stuff in school about how it just happened to us. And Latin people never came to mind. I forgot. I didn't even see. Didn't even grow up around them. I grew up around East Indians and Jake and Moab, right? So, but people say, but we're not the same people. We're not going through the same things. It's just a coincidence that they're going through the same things and that they can fit the curses too, but they're not Israelites though. Man, you guys are crazy. Zephaniah 2:1, gather yourselves together. Yeah, gather together, O nation not desired. Right? What did that Rodriguez brother say that they might as well ship us off to Mars? Right? Latino students were expected to attend separate Mexican schools throughout the Southwest beginning in the 1870s. At first, the schools were set up to serve the children of Spanish-speaking laborers at rural ranches. Soon they spread into cities too. By the 1940s, as many as 80% of Latino children in places like Orange County, California, attended separate schools. Among them was Sylvia Mendez, a young girl who was turned away from an all-white school in the county. Instead of going to the pristine, well-appointed 17th Street Elementary, she was told to attend Hoover Elementary, a dilapidated two-room shack. So they give us they gave us the poor of everything. They gave us the worst of everything. Right, but why would you want to go send your daughter to an all-white school? You know how much discrimination she's gonna have to face up in there. How much hell she's gonna have to go through up in there. The Mendez parents fought back in 1945 along with 4 other families. They filed a class action lawsuit against 4 Orange County school districts. Their goal: ensure that all children could attend California schools regardless of race. See, fighting for rights wasn't just the Negro thing. It was the Latinos too. And now all these nations come over here, and who set the stone for them to be able to not face so much discrimination now? It was you blacks and Hispanics and Latinos. Slovakia, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians. That's who it was. Right, the case culminated in a 2-week-long trial. In court, school officials claimed that Latino students were dirty and infected with diseases that put white students at risk. But you see how Esau is the devil, right? So where was that care when you came over here and infected millions of Native Americans and Latinos with diseases? I believe it's 22, right? This is Deuteronomy 28:21 through 22. The Most High shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until they have consumed thee from off the land where thou goest to possess it. The Most High shall smite thee with a consumption and with a fever and with an inflammation and with an extreme burning and with the sword and with blasting and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. Right? Was that going into the diseases? Right? And when the Caucasians, these devils came over here, right? The conquistadors came over here. They had a bunch of diseases that they were immune to, but the Latino and the natives they didn't have an immune system to fight off those diseases, so a lot of them died. Right? Who brought the disease over to the Americas? It was you guys. Now you talking about it's their fault. You can't. Man, this man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. You can't not say they're the devil. They create the problem and then they blame you for it. Right? But I mean, like, I'm reading far into this now. Right? But this is still new. This is still a lot more new to me. This whole thing right here. This whole article going into the discrimination. Right? But this goes to also show just how much our people had to fight. First of all, had to fight for what they want. If they believed it, if they repented and came together as Israelites and had faith in the Most High, keeping these commandments, we wouldn't have needed to go to their schools. right? And when we did separate ourselves and build for ourselves. What did they do? They came and destroyed it down anyways. Yeah, but it wasn't time yet. It wasn't time yet for that. But now look at our people. All they care about is the so-called white man. All they want to do is be around the so-called white man. Wait, I didn't know the Maccabees 4. Right. Oh, it's 40, about 40 something. Right. This is First Maccabees 1:43. Yeah, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. It's like this ain't the one I wanted. Second Maccabees 4:15. Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all. Right? That's what our people care about. They care about the so-called white man most of all. They like his culture. They like how he's promoted success to be on the earth. They like going after his way of living. By reason whereof sore calamity came upon them. See, when you go after the way of the so-called white man, you're the one who gets jacked up the most. The white man ain't getting jacked up for being wicked. It's you, black suspecting individuals, who take the brunt of it. Okay? For they had them to be their enemies and avengers, whose custom they follow so earnestly, and unto whom they desire to be like in all things. And now that's how our people are now, man. So who they want to be like now. And that's why we're even more destroyed as a nation of people. Forget about coming together. They don't want to come together. They want to make it in Esau's world. Okay, so I don't know what's left on this article, but that's pretty much it, man. We pretty much went through this whole thing. Right, and I'm sure there's plenty more articles and historical things of the United States, man. We talking about 574 cases, they said, on riots against Latinos just to kill them. How this woman got innocently lynched. So this is the time we're in to come together. When they don't want to see you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians come together, to not care about them, right? That's what bothers them a lot about this truth. Is that we coming together. We don't care what they say. We doing what we want to do. These Edomites, they're the ones coming on the comment section, coming up to the camps. They're the ones we ain't even talking to you. See, they're hurt by it, man. That we putting our trust in the Most High now. Right? So that's what time we're in. We gotta come together. Right? So I'll close on this. Micah 2:10, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with its store destruction. Right? Arise and depart from the way of this society. Right? Lot he wasn't committing the works of Sodom and Gomorrah. His spirit was vexed by it, by their filthy conversation, by the things they were doing. That's how we have to be, rehearsing these righteous acts and having faith in the Most High. Joshua 5:11. Right? It was Judges 5:11. Salakia. Judges 5:11. They that are delivered from the noise of archers in a place of drawing water. The noise of archers, right? What do archers do? They shoot bows. So in the place of war, of drawing water, and that's going into this modern day Egypt, right? Of drawing water, working in slavery. There shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Most High, even the righteous acts towards the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Then shall the people of the Most High go down to the gates. So this is where we have to rehearse our righteous acts, and where we're being oppressed together, and we're gonna be saved together, and no one's gonna be able to stop us. Right? So with that, I want to say, Kahala Yahaba Shem Yahshai. Hope this was edifying, going into the article about some of the oppression of the Latinos, in the Americas. That's just one little article, man. It's just actually going into look it up. They said themselves that people don't look up. People, it rivaled the Negroes, the African Americans, right? This goes to show you that nobody cares. Nobody cares, man. They don't care about something that happens to us. But when it happens to somebody else, it's the biggest deal in the world, right? So shalom.